What if the truth of cinema wasn't written in scripts, but hidden between the frames they cut in the early 1990s as Hollywood's ambition collided with its caution, producing films that dared to push limits beyond what the studios could comfortably handle? This was a time when action and spectacle were celebrated, yet the very intensity that drew audiences often threatened the carefully constructed image of the industry. Directors clashed with producers, scenes were reshot or erased entirely, and entire narratives were reshaped to fit a vision that would survive the market rather than honor the art. Some movies were too bold, too volatile, or too authentic to reach audiences in their intended form. The struggle between creativity and control left scars on reels that few would ever glimpse. Hidden behind the lights, cameras, and marketing campaigns were stories of compromise, erased moments, and silent battles waged in editing rooms. These are not just films. They are fragments of ambition caught between imagination and industry pressure. And yet, even in their fragmented state, echoes of their original power remain waiting to be rediscovered. These are the 5 films that revealed what Hollywood tried to hide. Film 1, On Deadly Ground, 1994, the environmental action story that studios wished had never left the cutting room. On Deadly Ground, directed by and starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, arrived in 1994 as a tale of ecological destruction, oil tycoons, and a lone hero fighting for the wilderness. On the surface, it was a high-octane adventure, Alaskan landscapes ablaze with fire explosions echoing through frozen canyons, and Van Damme performing daring stunts that seemed to defy gravity. Audiences were promised a standard action spectacle, yet the film carried a weightier message about corporate greed and environmental responsibility, a theme Hollywood had rarely foregrounded in such a blockbuster. Beneath the spectacle, however, turmoil raged. Studio executives feared the director's uncompromising vision, reshooting entire sequences to soften the message. Tension between Van Damme and producers resulted in scenes cut or re-edited, diluting the environmental urgency that had been central to the original concept. Critics were divided, often focusing on the disjointed narrative rather than the core message. What remained on screen was a compromise, a film that straddled the line between thrilling action and a conscience-driven statement. Yet, even in its altered form, the echoes of the original intent survive. The Alaskan wilderness, the erupting oil rigs, the moments of genuine moral confrontation all serve as reminders that cinema can attempt to speak truth even when the industry insists on silence. On Deadly Ground stands as a testament to what can be lost when vision clashes with commerce, and what survives in whispers between the frames is enough to provoke reflection on the cost of compromise. Film 2, Highlander II, The Quickening, 1991, the sequel that history seemed determined to forget. Highlander II, The Quickening, released in 1991, promised to continue the saga of immortals with breathtaking action and mythology that fans had embraced in the original. On the surface, it appeared as a grand fantasy blending futuristic landscapes with epic sword fights and the immortal battle between Connor MacLeod and his rivals. The production promised spectacle and continuity, yet the final product delivered something disorienting, a vision both dazzling and fractured. Behind the camera, the story was far more turbulent. Studio interference ran deep, with extensive rewrites and reshoots, reshaping the film into a version scarcely recognizable to the original director. Key narrative elements were altered or excised entirely, leaving the plot convoluted and many characters reduced to mere shadows of their intended presence. Fans were bewildered, critics scorned the inconsistency, and the production became emblematic of Hollywood's struggle to control creative output in big-budget franchises. Despite its flaws, the film holds a hidden intrigue. Buried beneath confusing sequences and conflicting timelines are glimpses of ambition, unrestrained by commercial caution. The visual splendor, fleeting moments of authentic emotion, and audaciously imagined sequences hint at what the creators originally sought to convey. Highlander II may have been marred by compromise, yet the shadows of its untamed vision remain, offering a cautionary tale about the delicate balance between artistry and studio oversight. Film 3, Universal Soldier, The Return 1999, The Resurrection That Never Fully Awakened. Universal Soldier, The Return, released in 1999, followed Luke Devereaux back into a world of advanced military experimentation and relentless cybernetic action. On the surface, it was marketed as a high-stakes, adrenaline-charged continuation of a beloved franchise promising explosive sequences, futuristic weaponry, and Jean-Claude Van Damme reprising his iconic role. Audiences anticipated a thrilling sci-fi spectacle that would blend human emotion with technological spectacle. Yet behind the explosions, a different story unfolded. Studio mandates reshaped the narrative, pushing for a more conventional action approach that stripped away darker, more experimental concepts the original writers had envisioned. Key sequences were rewritten or excised, diluting philosophical questions about technology, identity, and humanity. The resulting film delivered spectacle but left many narrative threads unresolved, evidence of a studio eager to control the tone at the expense of creative ambition. Despite the compromises, traces of the original intent remain visible. In brief, uncut moments, the film wrestles with the tension between human conscience and mechanized aggression, hinting at the existential inquiries that could have defined the story. Universal Soldier, The Return thus becomes more than a simple action sequel. It is a testament to the industry's capacity to sanitize vision while leaving faint echoes of the truth between the edits, reminding viewers that even in diluted form, a film's ambition can whisper through the frame. Film 4, The Order 2001, the thriller that wore its secrets in plain sight. The Order, released in 2001, promised a taut, suspenseful dive into a world of religious conspiracies, murder, and shadowed agendas. On the surface, it followed Paul Newman and Jean Reno through labyrinthine plots, blending action with intellectual intrigue, offering audiences the familiar trappings of a stylish thriller with a polished cinematic sheen. Critics noted its ambition to marry suspense and philosophy, yet reactions were mixed as the tension between story and execution became increasingly apparent. Behind the scenes, the production struggled to align vision and studio expectations. Significant edits and reshoots altered narrative pacing, cut pivotal character interactions, and obscured nuanced plot threads, leaving portions of the story feeling fragmented. The studio's desire to appeal to a broad audience often conflicted with the director's darker, more cerebral intentions. Scenes meant to evoke moral ambiguity and tension were excised or simplified, reducing the depth of the narrative in favor of conventional thriller beats. Nevertheless, traces of the original vision endure. In fleeting glimpses, the film hints at the complexity of faith, power, and morality that it once sought to explore. Cinematic framing, shadowed corridors, and fleeting moments of character introspection serve as echoes of the narrative that might have been. The Order stands as a reminder that even when a studio attempts to sanitize and streamline, the undercurrents of ambition and tension persist, lurking quietly between the cuts, waiting for perceptive viewers to discern the story behind the story. Film 5S, S.W.A.T. 2003, the law enforcement spectacle that promised precision yet delivered compromise. S.W.A.T., released in 2003, brought audiences into the high-octane world of elite tactical units, featuring Samuel L. Jackson and Colin Farrell navigating city streets under siege. On the surface, it was a quintessential action film, fast cars, intense shootouts, and meticulously choreographed stunts designed to thrill audiences and capitalize on the popularity of police procedural dramas. Beneath the glossy exterior, the production masked a series of editorial and creative compromises. Studio interventions reordered sequences, trimmed moments that could have lent emotional depth, and simplified character arcs to favor spectacle over substance. Scenes intended to explore camaraderie, moral dilemmas, and personal sacrifice were often overshadowed by relentless action beats, leaving the narrative streamlined but emotionally muted. The marketing emphasized chaos and intensity, while the film's quieter, more reflective beats were largely diminished. Yet even within these constraints, glimpses of narrative ambition remain. Moments of leadership tension, ethical conflict, and human vulnerability peek through the explosions and gunfire, suggesting a film that could have balanced entertainment with contemplative storytelling. S.W.A.T exemplifies the tension between studio control and cinematic intent, demonstrating that even in heavily shaped action fare, subtle traces of the original vision persist. For attentive viewers, the hidden interplay between spectacle and suppressed story hints at the realities that Hollywood sometimes chooses to conceal. Bonus fact: a film that never quite made the list but carries a symbolic weight in this saga of hidden ambition is Double Team 1997, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman. Marketed as a high-octane action spectacle, it promised explosive stunts, espionage thrills, and the collision of two iconic personalities. On the surface, it seemed like another 90s action vehicle: fast cars, relentless chases, and a formula designed to appeal to mass audiences craving spectacle over nuance. Behind the glamour, however, a different story unfolded. Production woes, clashing visions, and post-production reshaping left the film in a state of compromise. Scenes that might have deepened character motivation or explored narrative tension were excised or drastically altered, leaving a disjointed final product. Critics lambasted the inconsistencies, audiences were confused by the uneven tone, and yet the film's existence serves as a haunting example of what can occur when studio priorities override creative vision. Even now, traces of what Double Team could have been linger in brief, uncut sequences, moments of genuine suspense, flashes of personality interplay, and the audacity of action sequences that defied conventional expectations. It stands as a testament that the history of Hollywood is not merely in the films we see, but also in the fragments, the lost intentions, and the stories edited into silence. Some films fail on screen, others were never even allowed to fail. The 5 films we have explored, from the environmentally charged On Deadly Ground to the tactical intensity of S.W.A.T, reveal more than action and spectacle. They expose the hidden machinery of Hollywood itself. Each reel carries a story of ambition, tempered by control, creativity, constrained by commerce, and messages reshaped to fit market expectations. These films reflect the ongoing tension between what filmmakers intend and what studios allow audiences to witness. In cinema, every reel hides a reality and every cut hides a confession. The explosions, sword fights, and chase sequences are only one layer. Beneath them lie compromises, reshoots, and unspoken narratives that illuminate the unseen costs of entertainment. The brilliance of a scene or the poignancy of a moral moment may survive only in fragments, leaving attentive viewers to piece together the truth that was nearly erased. Which of these films do you think revealed too much, and which one deserved to be seen uncensored? As viewers, we are invited to look beyond the surface, to notice the silent struggles and shadowed intentions that shape the movies we consume. The allure of hidden footage, the tension of the altered narrative, and the echo of lost ambition are what give these films their enduring fascination.